Welcome to the full May 14th daily market walkthrough for NEPSE MTA. In this video, we are going through the daily page in the same order a reader would use it after the market closes. This is not a stock tip video, and it is not a recommendation video. It is a market reading video. The goal is to understand what happened today, how the app turns market activity into a clean story, and how a viewer can use the page as a daily digest. The headline is simple: Sell Money led the tape. NEPSE closed at 2,728.65, down minus 11.60 points, or minus 0.42%, from the previous close of 2,740.25. But the important part is not only that the index was red. The important part is how that red day formed. The website starts with the thesis, then it moves into the order flow conviction, the index path, cumulative turnover, the market story, sector pressure, boards, stock proof, method notes, video proof, and export blocks. So as we scroll, watch the page like a structured newspaper for the market. First, the hero tells us the one-line story. Then the charts test that story. Then the sectors show where the pressure concentrated. Then the boards show which stocks created different behaviors. Finally, the method section tells us what can be trusted and what should only be treated as context. That structure is what makes this app different from an ordinary price board. The hero section is the fastest way to understand today's tape. The page says Sell Money led the tape, and underneath it gives the core evidence. The market had 24,924 reconstructed buckets. All 24,924 of them matched. So the public issue is not working from a small sample. Total quantity was 6,210,003 shares. Total turnover was 3,258,605,471.7 rupees. And there were 44,708 transactions. Now look at the pressure split. Buy aggressive amount was 1,298,069,513.72 rupees. Sell aggressive amount was 1,949,403,158.99 rupees. Ambiguous amount was only 11,132,798.99 rupees. When we subtract sell aggression from buy aggression, the net aggressor amount becomes negative 651,333,645.27 rupees. On quantity, buy aggression was 2,391,949 shares. Sell aggression was 3,799,300 shares, and net aggressor quantity was minus 1,407,351. That is why the hero is not just saying the market fell. It is saying the selling side controlled the tape. The hero also includes evidence quality. Confidence is 99.19% and explainability is 99.39%. Same broker context is 3.29% of turnover, or 107,128,032.1 rupees. Same broker does not prove coordination. It means buyer member and seller member are the same in those matched trades, so it is useful context, not an accusation. The next section is the market order flow conviction chart. This is one of the most important parts of the page because it turns thousands of individual bucket events into one running pressure line. The y-axis is cumulative net aggressor amount. Positive means buy aggressive money is ahead. Negative means sell aggressive money is ahead. 0 is the balance line. For May 14th, the final market cumulative net aggressor amount was about negative 651,333,645.27 rupees. The chart is useful because it does not only tell us the final number. It lets us see whether pressure changed intraday. A market can close red because of one sharp late dump, because pressure was persistent through the session, or because early selling was absorbed and then returned. The app is designed to make that distinction easier. Here, sell aggression remained dominant into the close. That means the day should not be read as a tiny index move with no internal pressure. The index moved down only minus 0.42%, but the order flow layer shows a much larger internal imbalance. This is why price and order flow should be read together. Price tells us the result. Aggressor flow tells us the effort behind the result. Also notice the buy, sell, and ambiguous amounts are separated. This matters because a normal turnover number treats all activity the same. A turnover spike can come from urgent buying, urgent selling, or unclear matching. By splitting the tape into buy aggression, sell aggression, and ambiguity, the page gives a better daily reading than a simple market down headline. Now the page moves from pressure into price context and participation. The NEPSE intraday index path shows the index itself. NEPSE began the sampled path near 2,743.25, briefly positive against the previous close, and ended at 2,728.65. The index change was minus 11.60 points. In a normal summary, that might be the whole story. But here the chart sits next to cumulative turnover, so we can ask a better question. Where did participation build while the index was moving? The index path shows a day that started with a small positive print, then moved lower, tried to stabilize, and later stayed under pressure. Around the middle and later part of the session, the index kept trading below the previous close. This matters because a market that cannot recover after early pressure often tells us that buyers are not fully absorbing the sell flow. The cumulative turnover chart is the second half of this section. Turnover reached 3,258,605,471.7 rupees by the end of the day. That number is important, but the curve is more useful than the total alone. A late acceleration in participation can tell us that pressure became more active near the close. A flat period can show low conviction. The page is deliberately built to keep price context and participation context beside each other. For a daily viewer, this section answers two practical questions. First, was the index move small or large? Second, did money participation confirm the story? On May 14th, price was down modestly, but the order flow and turnover context made the day feel heavier than the headline percentage alone. This story panel is where the page becomes a publication rather than a raw dashboard. It explains the reading path. Market, then sector, then stock. That order is important. If we start with one symbol first, we can easily overfit the whole market story to one stock. But if we start from the market, then move to sectors, then move to stock proof, we keep the analysis grounded. The market paragraph says the issue is built from reconstructed bucket flow, not only price movement. That means the app is not simply reprinting the same data every NEPSE board already shows. It is using the analysis database to ask what side of the tape was aggressive, which sectors carried the pressure, which stocks were the proof candidates, and how much evidence quality exists behind that reading. The story panel also reminds us that the website is the summary layer. It should not overload a casual reader with every trade, every ladder event, or every broker roll. The deeper proof belongs in the truth viewer and the order flow platform. That separation is one of the better product decisions here. A public page should explain. A proof tool should prove. A video can connect the two. For May 14th, the clean story is this. The whole market was sell-led, hydropower carried the largest sector footprint, and HRL became the stock selected for deeper proof. But the page still leaves room for variety, because not every active stock behaved the same way. Some stocks showed confirmed upside. Some showed confirmed downside. Some rose while sellers stayed active. Some showed buy support that failed to lift price. The sector pressure map is where the market story becomes more specific. Hydropower was the largest footprint sector on May 14th. It had 103 active stocks and total sector turnover of 1,416,872,613.2 rupees. But the key point is not just that hydropower traded a lot. The sector also had net aggressor amount of negative 208,148,790.84 rupees, meaning sell aggressive money led inside the largest sector footprint. The others sector also mattered, with turnover of 504,076,461.3 rupees and net aggressor amount of negative 125,515,690.54 rupees. Manufacturing and processing had turnover of 441,785,433 rupees. Commercial banks had turnover of 226,536,337.2 rupees. Investment had turnover of 150,894,777.3 rupees in a same broker context of 10.28%. Development banks had turnover of 122,872,417.9 rupees in a same broker context of 9.27%. This is why the page is more useful than a flat sector table. It lets us compare turnover by pressure, sell pressure, ambiguity, evidence, index movement, and active stock count. A sector with heavy turnover but low conviction should be read differently from a sector with heavy turnover and strong directional pressure. A sector with high same broker percentage should not automatically be called manipulation, but it should be marked as context for inspection. There was also a useful contrast. Tradings had a positive net aggressor amount of 7,717,952.6 rupees, even while most larger sectors were sell-led. So the market was not one note. The dominant day-level pressure was sell-aggressive, but the sector map still shows where exceptions existed. The boards section is where many viewers will spend time because it connects normal market board behavior with order flow interpretation. The page includes top gainers, top losers, top turnover, top volume, and top transactions. The important design choice is that each board keeps the familiar market language but adds a compact flow read. That makes the board useful for both quick scanning and deeper understanding. For top gainers, the leader was UNHPL, up plus 9.79%. with 148,683,632.4 rupees turnover and flow described as confirmed upside. Crest was also strong, up plus 9.22%. But the interesting case is Japa, up plus 4.14%, while its net aggressor amount was negative 17,141,739.8 rupees. That is a resilient style pattern. Price rose even while sellers stayed active. For top losers, AHL fell minus 9.89% and showed confirmed downside. HRL was also one of the major losers, down minus 7.12% with the largest turnover footprint. On top turnover, HRL led with 376,036,887.4 rupees. Then Sahas with 187,612,974.5 rupees, SYPNL with 185,439,894.9 rupees, and UNHPL with 148,683,632.4 rupees. The strongest by net was UNHPL, with net aggressor amount of 80,828,432.8 rupees. SYPNL and Sahas also had positive net flow. The strongest sell net was HRL, then HFIN, PCL, NRN, and SKHL. This board view makes it clear that May 14th was not just one stock moving. It was a set of different stock behaviors across the same sell-led market environment. The featured stock proof section selects HRL because it was the largest, clearest stock level proof candidate for the day. HRL, Himalayan Reinsurance Limited, closed at 628.9, down minus 7.12% from the previous close. Its turnover was 376,036,887.4 rupees, with 598,762 shares traded and 5,425 transactions. Buy aggressive amount was 141,744,046.63 rupees. Sell aggressive amount was 228,948,717.29 rupees. Net aggressor amount was negative 87,204,670.65 rupees. That is why the page calls the behavior confirmed downside. But this section should not make viewers think the whole video is only about HRL. HRL is the proof stock, not the only stock story. UNHPL was the opposite behavior, up plus 9.79% with strong positive net flow of 80,828,432.8 rupees. SYPNL had high turnover, a positive price change, and positive net aggressor amount. Sahas also showed confirmed upside inside hydropower. These are the stocks showing demand-side confirmation. Then there are resilience patterns. MIN rose plus 1%, even though net aggressor amount was negative 2,096,008.42 rupees. Japa rose plus 4.14%, while sellers were still active. NGPL also rose while net pressure stayed negative. These do not mean the stocks are automatically good or bad. They mean price and flow disagreed, and that disagreement deserves inspection. Finally, failed by support is another useful behavior. SAIL had positive net flow of 3,310,497.34 rupees, but still closed slightly down. NBL and RADI also had by support patterns where price did not fully respond. This variety is why the website is powerful. It teaches behavior categories, not just symbols. The method and article section is where trust is built. The page says the content should be read as educational market analysis, not financial advice. It also explains the definitions that prevent common mistakes. The most important definition is that buy and sell do not mean participant buyer and participant seller. In this app, buy and sell mean aggressor flow. Buy aggression means flow that consumed visible ask-side liquidity. Sell aggression means flow that consumed visible bid-side liquidity. The aggressor amount is proxy allocated from bucket turnover by aggressor quantity shares. That makes the amount consistent with the reconstructed bucket roles. For stock level roll VWAPs, the app can use actual roll level trade rolls when that view is available. Price truth comes from the final post frame for the selected business date. The LTP is today close. The previous close comes from the previous business day frame, and open, high, low, and average are the day fields. The sector source is also important. Sector membership comes from the index metadata JSON when available. Only sector subindex constituents assign sectors. The older company metadatabase is fallback and enrichment only. Index movement comes from the index intelligence database, but it is not used to invent sector membership. This matters because a content site must not silently invent market structure. The evidence label for the market was medium evidence, but confidence and explainability were both above 99%. There were 122 gap flags, 17 wipe flags, 0 upper locks, and 91 lower locks. Those flags do not cancel the story. They tell the reader how much caution to apply when moving from summary to proof. The final part of the daily page shows the video proof block and the export blocks. This is where the product becomes a daily publishing workflow. The public page gives the summary, but the video should prove the deeper reasoning. For May 14th, the video proof would open HRL, replay the order flow path, inspect pressure timing, compare buy and sell roll behavior, and show why the stock was selected for deeper analysis. The export cards are also useful. They turn the day into shareable blocks. Sell pressure led. Hydropower carried the largest footprint, and HRL was the proof candidate. That makes the same daily issue usable for YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, a newsletter, and an archive. The page is not just a dashboard, it is a content engine. So the May 14th market takeaway is this. NEPSE closed at 2,728.65, down minus 11.60 points. Total turnover was 3,258,605,471.7 rupees. Sell aggressive money led by 651,333,645.27 rupees. Hydropower had the largest sector footprint at 1,416,872,613.2 rupees. HRL was the highest turnover and strongest sell pressure-proof stock, but the day also included confirmed upside in UNHPL, SYPNL, Sahas, and RED. Resilience patterns in MIN, JAPA, AKJCL, NGPL, and Tamer, and failed by support patterns in SAIL, NBL, RADI, HDL, and CORBL. That is the value of reading the page in sequence. We start with the market thesis. We test it through order flow and index context. We locate the pressure by sector. We compare stock behavior through boards. We inspect proof candidates. Then we read the method so we know what the data means. Used this way, NEPSE MTA becomes a daily market digest after the market closes, and later it can naturally grow into a newsletter and offline reading workflow. The key habit is simple. Do not chase one symbol first. Read the market, then the sector, then the stock behavior, then the proof.